Hello and welcome to Layers of Living Water. I am honored that you have chosen to join me today. Today I'm going to share with you a story that talks about a young man who dealt with some tough situations. He was told no, but he didn't let that stop him. And you may be facing some situations today. You may be having some obstacles you think you cannot overcome, but listen to this story and you can be like the young man. So this young man lived in South Africa, lived in a small village. Unfortunately, when the boy was very small, his father had passed away, so the mother was doing all she could to raise him and his brothers and sisters. Well, times have gotten a little bit tough, and the young man had gotten to the point that the mom said, "Hey, son, if there's any way that you could help, it would truly be wonderful." And the young man said, "Mom, I can do that. I'd been thinking I could go to the big town that's not that far away, and I can talk to a couple big companies there and see if I can get a job." Well, the mother thought about it, and she said, "That's a good idea." So the young man got ready. The day came. He was all mentally prepared. He had set things up. He had set up an interview, and he was all excited to go and to see this man. He headed off that morning to the big town. He went in to see the interviewer, and he walked into the interviewer. He sat down. The interviewer began to ask him some questions. He was answering the questions. The interview was going along quite well. All of a sudden, the interviewer said, "Now, son, I need to ask you a particular question that's very important to us." He said, "Yes, sir. What is it? I'll be happy to answer whatever." And so the interviewer said, "Now, son, if I give you this job, how are you going to get to work? Do you have a bike? Does your mom have a car? Do you have a motorcycle? How are you going to get here?" The young man's face dropped. He saddened because he knew in his heart he didn't have a bike. His mom didn't have any way to get him there. He knew he didn't have enough money to purchase a bike. He said, "Well, sir, I hate to say I walked here, and that's how I would be getting to work." The interviewer said, "Well, son, I am so sorry to have to tell you, I like you a lot. I like what we've discussed. But the company says we have to know that you have a way to get to work." Young man's head hung down. He said, "Sir, I understand. I'm sorry, but thank you for your time." So the young man walked outside and he sat down outside of the building. He was so dejected and he felt so bad. He said, "Oh, if I only had a bike. If I only had a way I could ride back and forth to work." He thought for a moment. He said, "Well, maybe I can go talk to mom. Maybe we can scrape up a little bit of money and buy some kind of used bike somewhere. At least that way I could come back and tell the man that, yes, I have a bike. You can hire me now." But the more the young man thought, he said, "That's just going to be too much money." He felt sad. He said, "There's nothing I can do." And it was getting late. He said, "I guess I better head home." And as he was walking home, he noticed a large vegetable market. He had not gotten anything to eat that day. And he said, "Hey, I'll stop in and get some vegetables. I can eat some. I can take some home for the family." So he went in. He was getting his vegetables all together, put them in his little carry box and was headed out. And all of a sudden, as he was walking away, the light turned on. He said, "What if I could sell these vegetables? I could make some money." So he found him a nice little spot, set up his little stand as best he could. And guess what? People came and they bought the vegetables, and before he knew it, he was all out of vegetables. And so he headed home. He had a nice skip in his step. He was so happy to tell his mom what had happened. "I went from being so sad to selling vegetables." He went in and he said, "Hey, Mom, let me tell you what happened." And she said, "Did you get the job? Did you get the job?" He said, "No, Mom, I didn't get the job. They said I had to have a bike or a motorcycle or some form of transportation. But as I was walking home, I stopped to get something to eat. And when I did, I had this idea that I could sell the vegetables. And Mom, I did. Here's the money from it." The mother got so excited. She said, "Son, that's wonderful. You brought us some vegetables. You sold some vegetables. It was a good day." The son began to think. And he said, "Well, Mom, I think I could do this every day. If you will allow me to take the money, I will go back tomorrow. I'll buy some more vegetables. I can buy more tomorrow, and I will sell them. The mother thought for a minute. She hated to part with the money because they needed it so desperately, but she saw how excited he was. She said, okay, son, go ahead. The next morning, he left real early. He got to the vegetable market. When they opened, he took his money. He bought more vegetables. And guess what? The next day, he sold all the vegetables again. He was so excited. He hurried home. He told his mom, he said, Mom, I sold out again. He said, I'm going to do it tomorrow. And the process went on, and each day he'd buy a little bit more and a little bit more. And before you know it, he had turned it into a wonderful business. He was selling all the vegetables every day. He was able to bring some vegetables home for the family so they had food to eat. He was doing what he could to help the family, and the mother was so happy. The young man was happy because he was being a big help to his mom and his brothers and his sisters. So guess what? You may be in that situation today. You may be in a place where you went somewhere. Maybe you went to a job interview. Maybe you went to do something that you had all the qualifications for, but you were told no. My friend, don't let that be a stop to you. You see, the young man could have just taken his money, gone back home and said, Mom, I didn't get the job, gave her back the money, and the family would have been in no better shape. The young man would have just been sad. But he stopped, he thought, and all of a sudden when the idea came into his mind, he said, I can do this. So my friend, I'll tell you today, you may have been told no. You may have been told you don't have the right qualifications. Don't give up. If you stand strong, if you stop, if you think about it, if you allow your mind to be expanded and take a bad situation and see what you can turn it into, you will be like the young man with the vegetables. You will take that no and you will turn it into something that will totally change your life. So today, if you're that person, stop for a moment. Don't be so dejected. Don't be so distraught about receiving a no or being told you can't do it. Stop and think about what you have in your hand. Stop and think about what you can do with it. If you need to, it will help you. Take a moment, pray to your Father, pray to the Lord, pray to the one that knows all the answers, and ask Him to help you have an idea. And then once you get that idea, you move forward with all that you have and make it happen. And you will change your circumstances. You can change where you are. You can take that no, you can take that bad situation and turn it into things that will change your life. Be the young lad. Do something different and watch what happens in your life.